All right, I'm Steve Wood, recovered alcoholic. Welcome to the Great Reality Book Study. Tonight we'll be going over step 11. Last week we went over, well, 2 weeks ago we started looking at step 10 and how to do 10-step inventory. And last week we finished off on some stuff in the book that was in 10 and how 10 and 11 work together and why they're important. And, tonight we're getting into the mechanics of step 11. And one thing that's always I love about Alcoholics Anonymous, we come from so many different backgrounds. Some come from the streets, some come from jail, some come from money and different political ideas, poor and rich, whatever you want to call it. And people who normally wouldn't mix. And there's one area that's very diverse, our different spiritual and religious backgrounds. And some grew up in religion and stayed religious, and some grew up in religion and became atheist, and some got here and were agnostic and became spiritual again, and some grew up religious and found a home again here, and um on the flip side, some were atheists their whole lives and do these steps and amazing things happen. um you know some were damaged by religion. Bill calls it an overdose of religious education. Some say God never worked for them, and um, I talked to God, he wasn't there. All that stuff. And for some of us, we talk about this in step 2. The idea of God was perhaps it was a punishing idea of God, and angry and unloving and humorless and old man up in the clouds with a long white beard. And we do these steps and we find out that it's quite different than that. And it's very different than that child conception of God that maybe we came here with. And the dark truth is, for many walking the AA, the idea of God scares them. And for some, the first time we walked into a meeting and look up on the wall and saw God, our stomach drop, and some read step 11, improving our conscious contact with God, scared them even more. I know it made me kind of weird, but that's where I was, and I was only a kid. But the beauty is that we can choose our own conception of God as we understand it, or as we don't understand it. And there's the simplicity. I love the simplicity the big book offers. And for that, let's go back to page 55. And this page, I always fall back on again on this in step 11, because it brings us back to what was promised to us and what might be there, and now we're there. So it says, actually, we're fooling ourselves. For deep down, and every man, woman, child doesn't leave anybody out, it's a fundamental idea of God. So they're saying all of us have an idea, you know, meaning, there could be a stadium full of people and they're all going to have some idea of God, or millions of people. It says it may be obscured by calamity, that's like drama and chaos, and by pomp, pride, something we see in the inventory, what others think of us, or by worship of other things, but in some form or another, it was there. For faith and a power greater than ourselves, miraculous demonstrations of that power in human life are fact as old as man himself. We finally saw that faith in some kind of God was a part of our makeup, just as much the feeling we have for a friend. Now, here's a condition. The condition is like a prerequisite before we take action. Sometimes we had to search fearlessly, but he was there. So they're saying that sometimes to have God, we have to seek God. That's what the steps are there for. He was, and what did we find out? He was much as fact as we were. And here's the line that changed my life forever. We found the great reality deep down within us. And great reality is capitalized because he's talking about God, higher power, and that the spirit is inside of us. And it just said a minute ago, it might be obscured by calamity, all this stuff like that. What's the spiritual malady getting in the way? All the stuff we hold in our heart. It says in the last analysis that they're looking everywhere else for God. It is only there he might be found. It is so with us. So, like I said, the great reality of God is, you know, um, it's within us, and but it's obscured by calamity and all this stuff, resentments, harms, guilt, suffering, all the stuff we inventory, and that creates the inability to connect to that spirit within me, right? And the inability to, people say, well, I was separated from God. It's an illusion of separation because you can't be separated from what's always been there. It's been there our whole lives. The condition, is to find God is searching fearlessly, like I just mentioned. How do we do that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we make a decision to do that and we take action. And what happens by doing so? We discover he was much as fact as we were. We're awakened to what's called God consciousness. And we do step 10 and keep clearing the ground between God and I. It's something, we can take with us wherever we go, that 10th step. And no matter what we go through, I can write it down, discuss it with another, let it go, remove it, make amends if I have to. And it reminds me, go to page 28 real quick. Every time I do step 10, I get pulled right back into, because I went to some financial situations recently and I just had all these fears and I was thinking all the stuff that's going to happen never happens. Losing the house and all this stuff. And when I do the inventory, talk to someone about it, and sit quietly, bring step 11 into it. Um, maybe make amends, but not for fear. But I get this every time. It says on page 28, what seemed at first a flimsy reed. It always seems like that first, even when we have God for years. What seemed at first a flimsy reed is proved to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given to us, or we prefer a design of living that really works. So let's go back to 55 really quick and let's look at the promise to God consciousness. It's rather if we found the great reality. It says we can only clear the ground a bit if our testimony helps sweep away prejudice. That's our old ideas. Resentment's an old idea. Enables you to think honestly. Honesty is a definition of knowing where I'm at. Do I have resentment? Do I have fear? Do I have guilt? Encourage you to search diligently. Look what they say here, within yourself. We do that in 4 through 9. Then if you wish, you can join us on the broad highway. Come on, guys, you can, and ladies, you can join us. And we do, and it says, later on says we reached the broad highway. 10, 11, 12. Look at this, with this attitude. And that's the attitude of willing to always be rigorous honesty within yourself. With this attitude, you cannot fail. In other words, for cannot is never. We can never fail. The conscious of your belief is sure to come to you. And that's kind of like our theme for tonight is we're going to talk about improving our conscious contact with God and walking on the broad highway. There's a story that I love, and I heard this a long time ago. One day a young man went out to find enlightenment. He's walking in the forest searching for enlightenment. And he looks for it everywhere, under the rocks and the trees, in the valley, up in the sky. He can't find enlightenment. On his journey, he came to a river. And he stares like, hopelessly at this river as this great obstacle in front of him for like an hour. He's standing in front of it. It hasn't moved. And, you know, how am I going to cross this barrier? And just when he's about to walk back home and go the other way, on the other side of the river is the guru. And he yelled to the guru, "Master, can you tell me how to get to the other side of the river?" And the guru ponders for a second and looks up at him and up and back and down. He goes, "My son, you already are on the other side." So the moral of the story is when we become awakened, we get so concerned with, oh, am I as spiritually woke as Rob or this person or that person? You already have it. Work on it. And find, we need to, we're finding enlightenment, and then we're going to meditate. And meditation is not about finding enlightenment, it's growing in enlightenment, because like I said, we already have it. This outer world we live in is a very limited perspective of who and what we are. And it is our inner world tells us all who and what we truly are. Give me 1 second. My computer's acting weird. Oh, it's much better. It got all fuzzy all of a sudden. Um, and within we discover, this we look for and outside of ourselves for strength, knowledge, direction, guidance, clarity, inspiration, encouragement, love. But where do we find it? Within we discover that. It is within where, life is born. And the hardest thing may be to let our inner world run our outer world, because we always let our outer world run our inner world, so to speak, dictated to us. So we learn that in meditation, by receiving guidance and inspiration and direction, we can do that. And so once we learn how to enter this temple, so to speak, within, we have this beautiful, retreat place that is available to us. And the most important thing about it is, my grandsponsor used to always say, you can take it wherever you go. You can bring it with you wherever you go, because it's inside of you. And you sit there and meditate wherever you go. Um, so we're going to go to page 85. And we will see it says step 11 suggest. Now, some people say, oh, these are just suggestions and stuff like that, and if Rob says, if I go out to dinner with Rob and he's been at this burger place 50 times and I've been there once, and he goes, I suggest the bacon burger, I'm probably going to get the bacon burger because he just said it, you know? So when I see suggest up here, it means a lot more, because back in the day when I was lost, I would see, oh, this is only a suggestion. Oh, but I'll go over there, This is why I looked at it. But then I realize now suggestions come from people who have knowledge. It means they experienced it. Ralph's not telling me to eat the bacon burger because it looks good on paper, because he's experienced it, he's tasted it, right? So let's see what the book says. Step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. And so we call this combo of prayer and meditation, so what is prayer meditation? So in the simplest aspects, prayer is talking to God. And Bill explains it all through the book. I mean, we're asking for guidance, inspiration, direction, strength, and most importantly, others. But meditation is this period of silence so we can comprehend the intuitive messages that are deep down within us. So it's listening to God. Meditation is talking to God, listening. And we'll point that out to you as we go through this, but it helps me be clear and empty so I can be one with God. Einstein said, I just want to learn to be like God. That's a pretty deep. He's talking about oneness with God. Oneness means you are like the source. And step 10, um, you know, is going to help, helps my mind clear with all the resentments in there, so I can so I can do that and be more like God thinking. So the paramount reason for doing, daily meditation, to get into that gap between my thoughts and make conscious contact with the creative energy within. And so my goal in step 10 is to be able to do step 11, to clear my mind. So this is about improving my conscious contact with our higher power. And remember what step 3 says, we made a decision to turn our will and life over to the care of God. This is living and going, living in that now, and going deeper and deeper so we can truly discover what that means to have our will, which is our thinking and our lives, our actions over the care of God. And meditation comes with, two conditions for success. The first one is stay committed to it. You know, what if you don't water a plant every day, right? You might not think it's growing, so you quit, but stay committed to it. Do it every day. The other one is before you meditate is always do inventory. Always do your 10th step. And anything that crops up. If you have nothing there, then meditate. But this keeps your heart and your mind clear from, it's hard to have a stillness in the mind and meditation with fear, resentments, and anger and hatred and judgment, and I'm right and you're wrong. So let's go back to the book. So we shouldn't be shy in this matter of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly. Constantly means continuously doing something for a period of time. Practice. It works. So here's two other conditions for meditation. If we have the proper attitude and work at it. It'd be easy to be vague about this matter. Yeah, we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. So the suggestion the big book is going to offer here is called the 24-hour plan. This is not step 10. For one thing, it told us a few pages back we're on step 10, and at the end of step 10, it told us the next paragraph we're at step 11. It just told us that. I don't know why people get confused with that, but so what we're going to do is look at first what's called a nightly review, and a review is an examination with the goal of bringing on change. And many say that they use review to get rid of defects. It's a review. It's not an inventory. And 429 is how to get rid of defects. But these questions might spearhead you to do inventory. But they're prior, to meditation to bring awareness. So to prepare us for meditation, it's kind of like a prayer in itself. When I do my nightly review, my 10 step is always in front of me. And these questions, I'm not going to mention them as far as how I changed them over the years, but 24 years of doing it has kind of taken me to where the questions grow deeper and more, but basically the same. So it says when we retire at night, we constructively review our day. So when I think of that word constructively, I think of the word destructively. And what does destructively mean? It means to cause damage and destruction. A hurricane, which we just had, causes damage and destruction. Now, destructive thinking, what would that be? Criticizing, judging others, negative thinking, harming others, damage and destruction, just like the hurricane. And we do not only did that to others, we did it to who else? Ourselves. Self-pity. With high self-esteem, where I'm better than you, or low self-esteem, I'm not as good as you, and I get depressed. How long did the destructive think of your old destructive, I mean, so at night we're doing this constructive review. It only lasts a few minutes, but what is your destructive review of your day used to look like? When you would just be angry all day long, that person, this person. It was a tiring process. So constructive thinking is opposite, is positive thinking. That what does it do? It's just going to point me in the direction of growth. So the focus on solutions, not problems, to find improvements and bring positive results. So we're seeking solutions here. How may I grow? So here's how we do that. We retire at night, we start to review our day. Was I resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? So when I ask these questions, I make them all into separate questions. Was I resentful? Was I selfish? Was I dishonest? Was I afraid? Now we all know what words mean. Resentment is, of course, holding a anger towards someone for a long period of time. Selfish is concerned mostly with my own needs and little or no interest in others. Dishonesty is the act of lying, cheating, stealing, or deceiving somebody. And afraid is fear. So it's just simple questions. If you can answer yes to these questions, we probably need to break out your inventory. I call this a 10th step overview right here. We just saw the same words on step 10 on page, go back to page 84 real quick. And the end of that paragraph. So he says, he just asked us, was I resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? And what's he say here? Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. He's preparing us because we always now think if you went from step 3 to step to continue to walk for yourself, honestly, we have no idea what that is. And you say, I'm not selfish, I'm not dishonest, I'm not resentful, I'm not fearful. But you just did a huge inventory. You did a 5th step with it, right? You did 6 and 7. Now you're doing step 10, they tell you to watch for this stuff. But now, so this new awareness of those words, by doing all that work, he's asking us to do you have them? Do I have selfish, honesty, resentment, and fear? So he obviously wants us to really, he's gonna bug us with that stuff for a while. So if you answer yes those questions, like I said, do inventory. Look at the next question here. Go back to where we were. It says after the question of self-honesty, afraid, is do we owe an apology? For me, I have to really analyze that question. I've learned over the years an apology is the easy way out because I had to say, well, okay, yes, I don't apologize, God, but what did I do? Is it maybe I need to go deeper and make an amends? So it's a lot of stuff we need to think about there. But great question. Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Perhaps our sponsor. Maybe I have those 3 resentments I need to call my sponsor and talk to them about. And then you get to these really good, I call them journalizing questions. There's a lot of good journalizing you can do with these questions, were we kind and loving towards all? Now, it doesn't say, were we kind and loving? That's easy. Oh, yeah, I was nice to that person. The thing throws a wrench in it, towards all. Is that possible? To be kind and loving? I mean, told in step 10, we cease finding anything, anyone, even alcohol. So I'm free of anger. So where else would you go once you're free of anger? What would make you free of anger? Love. Look what he says next. What could you done better? Great question. See, these are questions we just get mad at when people ask us. When you've had a great baseball game and you want the coach to, smack you on the back and say, great game. Instead, he says, what could you done better? That's what my dad would do. But what could you done better? Look at this one. Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? We just said that word, selfishness, right? Or were we thinking of what we could do for others? Or what we could pack into the stream of life? So notice he always brings the focus to others. And here's a little warning. But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. One second. You guys are probably laughing at me. I might turn my air conditioning on because it's hot here. But must be careful not to, that would diminish our usefulness to others. Again, all about others. After making our review, we ask. So what do we do when it says we ask? It's talking about prayer. When you see the word we ask and it's in a God aspect, pray. Prayers, talking to God. You're asking God. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. Now, after you answer the question, you pray, right? And then you meditate. So once I pray in that question, I inquire. I inquire through meditation, right? I'm stilling my mind so I can find the answer. And after you do that, it's we're retraining the mind. Remember, I always say the steps are not about learning, they're about unlearning the way we look at life and the way we've handled things. Now we're also retraining, and always also say the stuff's not about gaining anything, about losing stuff. I still am losing stuff. I'm losing resentments, I'm losing fears, so I can be closer to God every time. One person I go to meetings with out here always jokes. He goes, people ask him if I'm addicted to anything. He goes, I'm addicted to God. He goes, I get a resentment, I get rid of it because I'm addicted to God. He's right. This night review should be done every night and shouldn't take as long to do. I want to show you guys just something I threw together. Uh, Hold on a second. So, and it just kind of helps with this. It's part of the 10-11 step packet I put together. I'm going to share the screen. So this one's a simple checkbox one. It's you don't have to do it. I give it to sponsees because a lot of them don't want to do. I mean, I like to get them started at least, and they're right today's date. Open with prayer, morning intention, which we'll go over in a minute on here. Morning, whatever reading you do in the morning prayer, meditation, closing prayer, during the day, afternoon prayer, at night, open prayer, night review, 10-step overview, nightly prayer, nightly reading, closing. That's just as a suggestion. And then what I've done here is I taken like the intentions we're gonna look at in a minute. But let me go over to this one. At night, I made these personable. Was I resentful? Was I dishonest? And was I afraid? It makes it a little bit easier for them. It's in the booklet, but this is the one. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. I made this because early on for a sponsee, and it's helped, and a lot of them like it. And it's just a simple check, to get this thing checked. You know, was I resentful? You write down the date, right, at the top. Was I resentful? Yes, no, dishonest. Do I owe an apology? Was I kind and loving towards all? And it's just to get them to do it. It makes them it helps with accountability a little bit. And it makes it easier. What could I done better? And that's little bit of writing stuff on there. And this rest of this thing just has a couple more of those pages and a couple other things, my will, God's will sheet. But I'll put that in our WhatsApp group so you can see it more. But I want to go on this daily's intentions here. See, it doesn't say intentions in the book, but on awakening, I call it the morning intention. So what is an intention? So it's an ideal, a goal or plan. So if Frankie's goal is to go fishing, that's an ideal. He has an ideal. His goal is to get chop in his car and go fishing. You know that you intend to carry it out. By simply trusting our intuitive thoughts and feelings, our intentions, flow, and we can bring these intentions to reality. And Bill makes it super simple for us here. And it says, on awakening, let's think of the 24 hours ahead, right? So notice it does not say in the morning, it says upon awakening. There's a big difference than in the morning and awakening. Awakening is when you open your eyes and you wake up, right? In the morning could be 3 hours, could be 11:45. We don't want to do it then. Upon awakening, right? So the fears don't creep in yet and all that stuff. And set your day off strong, you know. Right when we wake up, we consider our plans for the day. So that could be our spiritual plans for the day. Maybe I need to go make amends to this person, that person. So for me, what I was told was make a list of who can I make amends to today. That's on my list. And which sponsors I have to go work with, or I still do that. And maybe tie in work plans with that too. And maybe you tie in, I gotta go talk to my mom about something, or my wife, or whatever. To-do list. But now you're bringing the spiritual things in with it. You consider your plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God. So now we're praying again. We're praying to God to direct our thinking. And what are we asking for here? That we be divorced. I mean, separated from self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking motives. So in this prayer, we're asking to be separate from resenting ourselves, which is self-pity, being dishonest, and carrying out harm. Right? We're asking God, take me away from, separate me from resenting anyone today. Under these conditions, we can apply our medical faculties with assurance, for after all, God gives us brains to use. And here's why. Our thought life we place on a much higher plane where our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. Now look at this. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. What causes indecision? Fear. If I'm stuck on a decision, I'm stuck in fear. I'm at a fork in the road. So in thinking about our day, we may face fear. We may not be able to determine which course to take. And here's some great advice here. Here is a great prayer. We ask God for inspiration and tune of thought or decision. So what is inspiration? It's an idea that provokes action. Now, what would divine inspiration be? Comes from within, right? And tune of thought is the ability to understand something immediately, without the need of conscious reasoning. It's there. And we know the decision part, we've hammered it home, is a key part of the human thought process. And what do we do in a decision? We analyze situation of uncertainty and we gather facts and know which action to take. So basically, we're slowing our life down a little bit to look at things that we normally just get dressed and run out the door. You know, basically saying if you are stuck in fear, calm down and find inspiration to make the right decisions. Trust it, and we're preparing our minds for meditation. And here's the meditation. It's not really the meditation, but it's talking about it. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. Now here's the promise of meditation and a condition. We're often surprised all the right answers will come because it's meditation after we had tried this for a while. That's the biggest condition of meditation. We tried it for a while. I must have tried it, 2 or 3 times and say, it's not for me. I was told to do it sit in silence for 60 days, not, for like 5 minutes at a time, not 60 days straight. But you know, we never knew what swimming was like until we got in the water. We never knew what meditation was like until we sincerely tried it. And every person that's tried this honestly, finds the power, greater than themselves. And, and I think I told you the story before about the bamboo tree. And the bamboo tree, you water it every day, and it's going to grow 80 feet tall, but it takes 6 years to sprout out of the ground. And all you have is the promise that if you water it every day for that time, it's going to grow. And then it sprouts after 6 years. In 6 weeks, it grows 80 feet tall. Because what was it doing? It was growing the roots to hold it up. And it's like meditation is like that. You got to give it time. Here's the 11-step promises after we had done this for a while. And these are very powerful promises. So think about where we're at. We've done 4 through 9. We're making our old amends. We're doing step 10. We're doing 11 every day. As long as I'm doing clear my mind in step 10, I can do 11 to the best of my ability, and I'm not going to be right all the time and harm people. And I'm sponsoring what's chasing me out of self. And so this is where we're at. What used to be a hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. What used to be a hunch or occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. That's pretty deep. So a hunch is intuition that something's going to happen. Intuition. Some call it, it gut instinct. People call it. Go with your gut. We always thought. Remember, oh, I shouldn't go in that house. I shouldn't be here. And you get in your gut. Then in case, that hunch. Oh man, some people, my conscience is telling me something. It was only little tiny things, or that little bit of inspiration you had to do something. Now it's working in your mind. Okay, so was it occasional means, it was only happening from time to time. And, like I said earlier, inspiration comes from within, and a working part of the mind would mean it's always happening. So thanks to practicing mindful meditation and self-awareness, that occasional inspiration, that that motivating idea becomes a working part of us in our mind. It's always happening. And trust it. If it's called conscious thinking, what it's called conscious thinking. That's what it is. So we go from spiritual malady, the illusion we're separated from God, to union with God, oneness with God, living in conscious thinking. And I do all 4 through 12, and well, 14, 9, step 10, 11, and 12 to stay there. The spirit and the mind, merge to that meditation. It grows. So your thinking becomes one with God's thinking. Self-centeredness dissolves, and we become what's called selfless. Selfless. A complete shift from what's in it for me to love and service for others. Before I even utter a word out of my mouth and any type of morning intentions or anything like that, my first thing is, how may I serve thee? You know why I do that? Because I never woke up every morning like that early on. It was always, what's in it for me? What can I get? Who do I need to get it from? Or who's going to take something from me? So we go from, what's in it for me to love and service for others. Only steps can do that. You might find somewhere else and let me know. In this state of oneness with consciousness, you feel, God, you can accomplish things without effort, effortlessly, organically, or naturally. That's where embryos do not fight to become a baby. They turn into babies effortlessly, right? It's doing what it's programmed to do. It's like the birds we see, pretty soon that they'll be flying, south in the winter and north in the spring, and they fly in a flock like a triangle effortlessly. They're doing what it's programmed to do. And then the caterpillar, which from a few weeks ago, goes in the cocoon and breaks into particles and transforms into something even more beautiful than it was. Effortlessly does not fight turning into that. It's doing what it's programmed to do. And the acorn looks nothing like the massive oak tree. That's 1,000 times, 10,000 times bigger than it is. But it falls to the ground and it turns and gets enough sunlight, enough roots to grasp the right soil, enough water and sun. It has all the information it needs to survive and grow. It does not fight to become the oak tree. It turns into what's programmed to be. It's the image and likeness of its creator. I mean, you think about it, what makes the flower bloom? We think sunshine, water, shade, soil, or that green thumb person, the great gardener, right? Those help. What if it's something more than that, beyond all that, some type of inner consciousness? Perhaps something within the flower that causes it to bloom? What's in its program. Flowers are not beautiful because, they're red and these vibrant colors, or they smell. What makes a flower beautiful and gets your attention is they're unbelievably happy for no reason at all. When the flowers bloom, they're smiling. Think about when you go to a store and you go up to the cash register person and they're not smiling. It's not aura. These things put out aura. The smiling person puts out aura. So the flower doesn't think, to seek approval from the other flowers or others like them. They never fight or compete or anything like that. They coexist and they thrive peacefully in the garden. They never question anything. All they do is follow their inner guidance. They follow what they're programmed to do. And the way I look at it is all these life forms, are the ultimate spiritual symbol of spiritual growth and God's unlimited potential. So my question why would we be left out of that? We're not. Why would we be any different? We too have all the information to survive, and we follow these steps. We turn into what we're programmed to be. We follow inner program. Meditation is simply connecting to that inner program and listening to this information. We download it so we can act on it and live effortlessly. It's like this. When I see an acorn, I see an oak tree. When I see a caterpillar, I see the butterfly. When I see a seed, I see a flower. When I see you, I see God. Which means if we trust and follow our inner program, we too can become the image and likeness of our creator. We're all just mirrors of God. We're all pieces of God. The love seed within you, yourself is born. I mean, ask yourself, do I have union with God? Do I have this union? It's not about knowing about God. It's about knowing God. It's not acting spiritual. It's being and living spiritual, being one with God's thinking. It's not looking out here and it's looking within. So you're either with God or away from God. God either is or he isn't, like the book says. What is our choice? So many mess up in the program and go out every day and they don't say I didn't have enough God. They say I didn't have enough meetings. It's all about oneness. I mean, really quick, I mean, the ego and consciousness cannot coexist. Remember the ego. I'm separated from you. I'm separated from myself from you. I'm separated from everybody else. I'm separated from God. I'm better than you. We are one with God. We're in the highest place in realm thinking, the kind of thinking that allows us to, you know, eradicate our peace in life to everyone. We know all things are possible. There's no excuses. I don't say things like, hey, I can't do this. I can't. I'm too tired. I'm too old. We just follow it. We follow the program. We can do anything. With God, all things are possible. A good friend, a good Irish friend used to always tell it to me. With God, it will instantly heal you. All you have to do is work at it. It's just a few minutes a day. Getting to the place of the most beautiful journeys you'll ever go on. We must practice it over and over again. We can look upon each other and see we're all connected. Come back to the book. What used to be a hunch or occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Here's another promise. It's also a warning. Being still inexperienced. And that doesn't mean you're new. I'm still inexperienced. Being still inexperienced is having just made conscious contact with God. It's not probable that you are going to be inspired at all times. You might pray for this and pay for this, not pray for this, pay for this and all sorts of absurd ideas, actions and ideas. Presumption means jumping to conclusions, a theory. Why? Because we're inexperienced. Does anyone suffer from that? All that means is you need to keep moving, keep going forward. You don't go, I've been doing this 10-11 thing all the time. And it's not working for me. It's not working for me. And so I'm gonna try something different. Well, the only reason you're wanting more of it is because you're doing it. You know, 10, 11, 12, none of it will ever bring you away from God. What it'll do is bring you closer. It says, nevertheless, we find that our thinking as time passes be more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. So the more inspiration we receive, the more action we take, the more action we take, the more we know God. We usually conclude our period of meditation with a prayer that will be chosen all through the day what our next step should be. That we be given whatever we need to take such problems, to take care of such problems. We ask, it means we pray, especially from freedom from self-will, and be careful to make no requests for ourselves only. We may pray for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. Again, we're not praying for the Ferrari or the lottery, right? We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Many of us have wasted a lot of time, years doing that, and it doesn't work. You can easily see why. I like using the third step prayer because it keeps me grounded and all that. Spontaneous prayer works great too. I like this. As circumstances warrant, we may ask our wives, our friends to join us in morning meditation. That's awesome. Highly recommend that. If we belong to a religious denomination, which requires definite morning devotion, we attend to that also. If not members of religious bodies, we sometimes select and memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principles as we've been discussing. There are many helpful books also. Suggestions about these may be obtained by one's priest, minister, or rabbi. Be careful, be quick to see where these religious people are right. make we used to have to offer. So let's just before we move on with this page, I'm gonna bounce on some pages really quick to also mention um, morning meditation, or it's mentioned meditation in general. So go to page 69 really quick. And it says in meditation, we ask God what we should do about each specific matter. The right answers will come if we want it. So there's some great conditions of meditation there. You know, we should about the right answers will come if we want it. Let's go over to 83, and it is more morning stuff right here. And it says on 83, we clean house with the family. I mean, step 9. And then we ask each morning, just after I made amends to my family, and family is also friends and community, right? Asking, praying each morning in meditation that our Creator show us that we have patience, kindness, calmness, kindness, and love. If I'm not doing meditation, I will not have patience, I will not have tolerance, I will not have kindness, and I will not show love. These are 4 things I need to have. Otherwise, I'm going to stink up the room. I'm going to show them I don't have patience. I'm going to be intolerant. I'm going to be unkind and picking fights and not loving. Let's go to 164. More stuff on meditation. All right. It says, God will tell you. God will tell you all you need to know. That's a big statement right there. Ask him, pray to him. In your morning meditation, we do each day for the man who's still sick. He kind of told us that a minute ago, but here's what he wants. His answers will come. Here's the condition. If your own house is in order. How am I got patience, kindness, and tolerance and love? If I don't have that, my house is in order. If I'm angry at everyone, my house is in order. You know, so I can. How can I find out who the people I can go help if my own house isn't in order? Why? Obviously, you cannot transmit something you haven't got. You can't give away. We don't have. I love what this one guy says. If you squeeze an orange, apple juice doesn't come out. Orange juice comes out. If you squeeze a loving person, what comes out? Love. You squeeze an angry person, what comes out? Anger. So get your house in order. But obviously, you can upset something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and the grants events will come to pass for you. God says this is a great fact for us. Let's go back to where we were, and we're at where as we go through the day. So now we looked at what we do in the morning. Now let's look at what we do during the day. And this is important stuff right here. As we go to, here's in my mind the most important thing other than prayer, meditation, and making amends, stuff like that. All important you can do during the day, but as far as just a simple aspect, it's not that simple actually. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful. So agitated, restless, irritable, discontent, resentful, doubtful, feelings of uncertainty, maybe skeptic, maybe fear, afraid. So as we go through the day, we pause when agitated and doubtful. Pause means to stop an action. Very simple, When angry, pause, pray. There is no greater gift that's been given to you than the pause button. And if the reason why we never had the pause button before, because we never thought, we always said what we think and never thought what we said. So now we have the pause button where we can think what we say. Right? But the pause button. Some things are best later unsaid. Pause before you're angry. Do not get the last word in. This pause button is the ultimate spiritual anger management tool. Some of us have probably been in anger management. So living in God conscious, we're not we're not driven by anger or fighting things anymore. We already mentioned that. We think before we speak, not speak what we think. I mentioned that a second ago. But before you open your mouth and speak any hurtful words to anyone, when you pause, ask yourself: Are my words true? Are my words kind? Are they necessary? The necessary part is a big one. Is this really necessary? What I have to say? But I've been waiting all day to talk to her. I'm waiting all day to talk to him. I got off 3 hours before she did, and I can't wait to talk to her. And she gets home at 6, and I'm gonna start that fight. I get the last word in. Are my words true? Are they kind? Are they necessary? We constantly remind ourselves we're no longer running the show. Humbly saying to ourselves, it's a nice little mantra here: "Thy will be done." That's to remind us we're no longer the show. I used to say that when I get frustrated: "Thy will be done. Thy will be done." So by following the day directions, we get more promises. We're then in a much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. If we follow these directions, it puts us in the ideal mindset to s- to see, just how powerful, that promise is. It looks like, look at the opposites of excitement, fear, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions, right? Peace, courage, calmness, joy, happiness, and sane decisions. That's what I want. That's hard to get. It's about in 400 to get that. That's about 1,000, not 400. More promises. We become much more efficient, more productive. We get things done. We're not being stuck. More promises. We do not tire so easy. For we're not burning up foolish energy as we did. We're running to show ourselves. So a big part of the spiritual life is always having that aura of high positive energy. Doesn't mean you're all over the place crazy. No, it means you have high positive energy, high power consciousness. And positive energy is the fuel of meditation. If I'm burning up positive energy because of these resentments and this anger and these full decisions, my energy level is low, making it more challenging to silence my mind and focus to get God's guidance and directions. If my energy level is calm and positive and sane, meditation is the ultra high power device it's supposed to be. And I'm always gonna get something out of it. Here's another promise. It works. It really does. We alcoholics on discipline, and we let God discipline us in a simple way he just outlined. So, meditation is a tool to let God discipline us, and that's the aspect of it. Spiritual discipline develops us to grow in no spirit so we can follow our inner program. All we have to do is to let God, let God. But this is not all. And he's gonna say this again. There's action and more action. It's at the end of every step, action, more action. And also he tells us this, like he did I think it was in Bill's story. Faith without works is dead. Faith without action is dead. It says the next chapter is devoted entirely to step 12. Um, I, the thing about it is, I tell people, commit I to practicing meditation 5 minutes every morning, 5 minutes at night, build to 10, build to 20 minutes eventually. You know, it will take you to places you never even dreamed of. And what's important is to have the right setting, right? First off, we need to know that the morning, that upon awakening, for night, the right time, works best for you. Find it, stick to that time. Find an ideal place for prayer and meditation. That's important too. A sacred place, a quiet place where you will be alone, where you won't be disturbed. I have my office here. In the corner, I got a little sacred wall. I usually sit down. I started doing yoga a couple years ago, so now I can actually do meditations in the lotus position. My knees folded, which is amazing. But for whatever way you want to do it, it's important to always use the same place as much as possible, because that energy in there, and sometimes it might be out in the woods too. You can remember, you can take it wherever you go. But one of the keys to meditation, again, I'm going to hammer it home, is a proper mindset. right? Why ask ourselves questions like, do I have fear or resentment? Do we need the 429 to let it go? You know, that's why it's set 10 is so important. We need to have, also, you need to have proper materials. A pen and notebook is great, for maybe journalizing or your 10 steps next to you to write stuff down. You know, I tell people when they meditate, sit upright, sit quietly, speak to God, listen to God, write down the thoughts that come into you, clear your mind. Um, Through the years, I've developed first it was 4 A's with God, now it's six, but 6 A's with God that I always need to have. And the first with God is attitude. I need to always maintain and grow my attitude towards God and others. And the way to have a new attitude with God is have a new experience with God and always improve it. The next A is action. Faith that works is dead. Always stay in action, 4 through 12. The next A with God is asking, proper prayer, right? Proper prayer. The next A with God is answers, meditation. With prayer, I'm asking God. Meditation, I'm listening. I'm getting the answers. I always need answers. The next A with God is awakened, consciousness to our original nature, the image and likeness of our Creator. And the next A with God is awareness. Spiritual awareness means that we know divine within, fourth dimension, sixth sense. My suggestion is try to get straight A's. So all those things are important. Action, asking, answers, awaken, awareness. Attitude, I forgot attitude. Um, you hear people mention, relationship with God, and someone asked me one time, how would you describe relationship with God? And I call it more like a friendship, because friendship with God it's kind of like the essence of my life, because I always have fed well off friendships, but I kind of exist without it. It's the safest place I can go. I can pull up a chair and know God is listening. I can sit back and look within, and you know, I know I can look in the deepest realms of my heart and know He's there. And what I love the most about this friendship, it's a calm place. It's a comforting thing. Just a sense of His presence gives me comfort. Talking about right now gives me, you know, goosebumps. Um, but God, guides and directs me through the truth, enables me to see love in things that I never thought were beautiful before. You know, and I just know that He is there during my hardest times and challenging times. You know, and I've been able to go to places and calm myself down where it should be craziness around me. I just know the more friendship with God, the more time I spend with God, the more I grow. And the greatest thing that I love with my friendship is no matter how bad things get, I know it's going to be okay every time. Um, the most important thing in life is to figure out who we really are. And that's beyond our name, beyond our thoughts, beyond our human body, beyond the life we live. And it's the simple questions: what's this intelligence, the depth of our being? I mean, that makes our heartbeat go and our sleep cycles go. That we keep growing and growing. Why wouldn't I want to spend time with it? So what I mean that it what is the intelligence that tells me what I'm doing or not doing right? What is the intelligence that automatically brings me to the right people in the right places effortlessly? Synchronicity makes things happen effortlessly. So when we think about life, we think about birth, death, childhood, memories, people we haven't encountered, over the years, and all the adventures we've been on, the beautiful places we've gone to. Think of the people we love. Maybe we think of our life story, you know. But there's another dimension of life, a part of life, few people will ever know because it eludes so many. And it's where miracles happen is consciousness. It's where infinity, unity, and love They rules over everything and everybody. For we awaken a deeper intelligence. It's not far away. It's right within you. Know this, that the place, the road, the way, the path is not our own, but God's. That's the thing. And God speaks to everyone. It's a calling, and many are called upon, but few accept it. We all were called upon. For the ones that accept the call, the whole universe becomes infinite, and it transforms into miracles. For life today, I say to God, I say every day, I say thank you. Thank you for the people in my life. Thank you for the peace of mind. Thank you for the opportunities, for the ups and the downs. Thank you for guiding me, no matter how far I fall away, for loving me no matter what I've ever done, for giving me the opportunity to love all, for helping me awaken to this mind, body, and spirit, the opportunity to help others. Thank you for this journey. Thank you for giving me freedom. All for just that clarity of God consciousness. You know, um, I'm going to stop the recording. We're not ending the meeting though. Hold on.